Hey there. Today's going to be a little bit different. Instead of going over a specific kind of kitchen skill, well, I guess that's not right. This is a kitchen skill. Anywho, instead of it being something like very specific to prepping a food item, we're just going to talk about prepping and preparing meals for your family and schedule. And oh my God, I know some of y'all are probably puking. My camera looks a little weird. But anyway, I'm a planning nerd. Can't help it. It's just the way God created me. I have my spices alphabetized. My closet is color coordinated. Yes, it's ridiculous, but it's just the way I function. And I know not everybody does. But if you can get some structure and organization in your kitchen, as far as your meal planning and your prepping, your life will be so much easier. Serving food for your family on a regular basis will just be, it'll be a joy as opposed to a drudgery and hard work. So I'm going to kind of run through some things that I've used for years, and actually it's translated over into my restaurant. I'd probably be crazier than I am if I didn't plan this way for what I'm doing in the restaurant. So just going to kind of run through some things with you and show you a few things. But, you know, plan. That is my favorite thing to say and kind of to do. Yes, I'm that nerdy. But, you know, if you fail to plan, you can plan to fail. I lost it there for a minute. And that's such kind of a corny saying, but it's so true. If you don't plan what you're going to do and just kind of try and do cooking, especially for a family, the spur of a moment, it can be really, really frustrating. So you need to get into that habit. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be laborious and ugh. It can be kind of fun. So what's always worked for me is pick a day each week. You know, I recommend weekly. Some people every 2 weeks, once a month works, but that's just too much for me. I'd rather just do it each week. Whatever day works for you and whatever time of day. For me, historically, it was always Saturday mornings. It was just kind of my time. Kids would get up, be, you know, slow to move around, watching cartoons, doing whatever. And I'd get in my kitchen and just sit down and figure out, what am I going to do for the next week? How am I going to feed my family without losing my mind? So, you know, I built that habit. That was just my thing. Every Saturday morning, I'd get up and do that. You know, I recommend or encourage you to have some kind of calendar or book, and I'm going to show you one if I can do it without knocking everything over, that I've had for years. I mean, it's just a cheesy little spiral-bound notebook. I have a note in here from my son when he was little. But anyway, I would sit down with this little book, and the calendars work really well, you know, if you have room to write on them, and just write down. I mean, this thing goes all the way back to 2009. Yep, that's how big of a nerd I am. I would write down, you know, each day of the week that I'm going to cook and start planning my menu. So I'd always think about, okay, every Wednesday night we're in church. So I'm not cooking on Wednesday night. It was leftovers, or God forbid, back in those days, we would do a fast food thing. But we only did it once a week, so it wasn't too bad. But I wasn't cooking Wednesday nights. I never cooked on Friday nights. That was my thing. That was my treat to me. I didn't cook on Friday nights. We had leftovers. We did whatever. Typically leftovers. But usually Saturday and Sunday were kind of big cooking days for me because it was slower and easier, and I just did. So mainly I was planning for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then one of the weekend days. That was kind of my routine. And I would figure out those days. What was I going to fix? Let's have a pork, let's have a beef, let's have a chicken, let's have a seafood. Or a pork, a beef, a chicken, and if it was winter, a soup, a stew, a chili, something like that. That was just kind of how I did it, and I would plug those in. And this is what I do in my restaurant as well. And then, okay, I've got my meat. What am I going to do with that meat? Thinking about, you know, the way I like to prepare stuff and cooking ahead, all that kind of thing. And then I'd start working on my vegetables. What was in season? What could I get fresh and good? And, you know, what would I use frozen? And I would just kind of plug that in. And I kept this little book. I know you probably can't see this very well because at one point I was going along and I'd scribble through it as I cooked it. Well, I quit doing that. But, you know, I would just list it out. And here's what I'm doing. And there's that week. And there's that week. And, you know, whatever. And so, you know, I would get that all put together. And the thing that's so cool about doing this is, you know, like I said, the first recipe in here's from, or not recipe, the first menu in here's from 2009. I have big family days and baby showers that I did for my grandkids and holidays. And, here's a Thanksgiving menu. Look at that mumbo booger. That's one day. There's Christmas Day. But, I just kept everything. And so now, corny as it sounds, this is almost a little keepsake, because it's kind of cool to go back and look and go, oh my gosh, on this day for Christmas 8 years ago, this is what we did. But the even more cool thing about it is it's a great reference for you to go back and figure out what you want to cook. When you're sitting there trying to do next week's menu and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to, just get your little book, start flicking through it. It's like, oh, this carrot recipe, I haven't made this in a long time. Let me put that on there. Or, oh, okay, it's greens are in season. Let me do some mustard greens. We'll throw that in there. That kind of thing is just very, very helpful. I have recently, a year or so ago, upgraded. Look how cool that is. I know you can't see it because this is on, this is selfie mode, so it's backwards. But it's The Art of Cooking and Serving, and it's the coolest little book made by a local company in Shreveport. It's called Revival Journals. I encourage you to check them out. The coolest thing, they take old books and repurpose them, which I'm all about repurposing. But they leave some of the pages in from the book. See if you can see that. But then they insert a lot of blank pages. So to me, this just took my little spiral notebook to a whole new level. So anyway, that's just nerd fest there. But, here's my Christmas menu for this year and what I'm working on there. But, I encourage you to do that. Create your plan. Figure out if there's certain nights of the week you're not going to be home, kids have a game, you've got a meeting, whatever. Build that into your plan. But just make sure that, you've got everything covered. Involve your kids, your husband. What do y'all like? What have we not had in a while? Ask them. God, they're always typically willing to throw out ideas and makes your planning a lot easier. Just pencil that in. That's always helpful. Keep in mind seasonal stuff. That's really good. Using your little journal, you can think about family favorites and include those. But keep it simple. I don't know if you've ever heard the acronym, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I prefer keep it simple, silly, or keep it simple, sweetie. I'll be saying stupid all the time. But, just keep your menu kind of simple and your planning simple. If you want to introduce a new recipe, do that. But I wouldn't encourage you to do a bunch of those in 1 week because that can get kind of frustrating. So do one. Try it out. See how it may become a new family favorite. You may toss it out and go, gag, I'll never fix that again. See all my cookbooks back there? Yes, I'm a total nerd. I've collected cookbooks for 100 years. This little wood cabinet behind me is full of antique cookbooks, which are very cool. But anyway, when you're doing your planning, include what I always called a double duty meal, which is something you can easily double and then stick in your freezer. Here I go again with my freezer, and have for a later date. And on those weeks where you have really busy weeks or you're having a busy evening, think, oh, I'm gonna whip out my double duty meal. I've got spaghetti sauce in there. Then all I'll have to do is come home and cook some pasta and throw together a salad. Ta-da, wonderful meal. Or double a casserole that's really easy. Pop one in the freezer, serve one that week. That's always a good thing to do to kind of build up your little, emergency stash of food. So I encourage you to work that into your planning as well. But figure out what works for you and do that. And make it fun, make it easy. It'll probably feel a little laborious at first, but once you get into the habit, it takes 21 days to build a habit. So that would be 3 weeks. Just doing this 3 times, you've got a little habit, and you're just doing something really super helpful for whoever it is you're cooking for. Yourself, your family, just you and your husband, you and a roommate, whatever. It'll just make it so much easier. Prepare for your shopping. Pull your recipe cards, pull your cookbooks, pull whatever it is you need, and run through all the ingredients. Make sure you have everything you need and build your grocery list. Do your grocery shopping that day or the next day. My Saturday morning planning always turned into a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon grocery shopping trip to prepare me for cooking that week. So, just kind of gets everything structured and organized and easy, which is really important to make it fun and not stressful. Shop with your local farmers, find your farmers, get your local stuff. ingredients matter, ingredients, ingredients, ingredients. So make sure as much as you possibly can, you're using whole foods, clean, organic, local. Those are some key things. So this is kind of the beginning of our meal prepping planning video series. I say series, it may be 3 or 4. And then we're going to get into actually cooking some full-blown recipes that you can throw on your menus and make cooking and feeding your family real, nutrient-dense, whole, nutritious foods so much easier and fun. It's all about fun. So anyway, I hope this helps. Give it a shot. Like I said, it'll feel a little funky at first, but if you keep working with it, in no time, you'll be doing it, and it'll just make life in the kitchen a whole lot easier. Your family will love you for it. So, talk to you soon.